All right, call to order the December Tipton Community School Corporation School Board meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and the vision statement. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our vision statement is we're growing empowered, future-ready students who are prepared for a lifetime of opportunity and success. All right, we move on to Tell Me Something Good. So this is a time when the board has a chance to reflect on something they've seen good in the community or the school corporation in the month since we've met. So I'll open the floor up.
I had the opportunity to go to Disney World with the cheerleaders, and that was an awesome trip. Taylor and Morgan, our cheer coaches, do an exceptional job. And I felt like our cheerleaders were great representatives of our school. So
Great. Thank you. I would give a shout out. I was going to try and do a Blue Future Award, but couldn't figure out how to do this. But last month I gave you an update on Little Mermaid. And so this month I'm just saying it was great. There were over 1,500 people in the auditorium in those period of days. But what was really great was the burden that we put on the elementary, middle, and high school office staff. And I don't think people know when the theater rolls in, it's a bit of a circus. And so all the front desk people that have to get people checked in and escorted from the offices and that kind of stuff, just for all three of the building representatives here, your staff did a great job, made it super easy. We returned every kid we borrowed, so I think that was always a good thing. And then all the people that came from the other schools and stuff, it was just great to get them in. So I've thanked Officer Maddox and Karen and a couple people personally on that, but it's just a great job. So I appreciate your continued support when we bring the circus to town. So
our music programs have been everywhere this past week. It seems like every time we turn around, our band or choir, they're somewhere. Performing for the city, functions, performing for the school, and they've all done a phenomenal job.
I'd like to give a shout out to the kids that sang at the Christmas tree lighting. And maybe we could launch a fundraiser that they don't have to wear short skirts and, it was snowing. Rob was there.
Yeah,
It was
Cold.
very cold.
Yes.
And maybe we need a winter outdoor.
yeah, for the 'tis the season, they were allowed to wear long pants and coats and gloves. So there was an adjustment made due to the weather forecast, but I agree, they did a great job.
I was just going to echo the same thing about the music programs, just exceptional. And especially this time of year, it always just makes me really thankful and appreciative for the hard work of our kids in our performing groups. And again, to kind of echo a little bit what Rob was saying about the musical, a few weeks ago. And again, just we're so lucky and we're so blessed to have such great talent in our small little community. It's just pretty amazing.
I would just like to congratulate our boys basketball teams again on another Pilgrim Cup win. But even more than that, our gym and our band and all of the components that go into it just made an excellent night, right? Having the cheerleaders there, huge showing from our community. I mean, it was just such a fun night.
Our robotics program also did a competition this week. Did really well. Better than last year, from what I read.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you for your comments. Next on the agenda is our consent agenda. We have the approval of tonight's agenda, the approval of minutes from our November 11th regular session. We have approval of claims, both payroll claims from November 21st and December 5th, and we have our AP claims for December. We have the approval of the personnel report, which I will read in a moment. We had no field trips to approve, but we did have a good list of accepted donations to approve, and those are in your packet for review. So I would like a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda for this evening.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is approved. The personnel report for December 9th, we have no certified staff updates. In the classified staff, we have one termination of Tiffany Brown, a cafeteria employee for the high school. One resignation, Mary Ankrum as a physical education assistant in the high school. And we have a recommendation of Sandra Mulvaney for third shift custodian in the middle school. From an ECA staff, we have those recommendations, or the recommendations of Matt Boyland for assistant football coach for the middle school, Joe Gosnell for the transfer from the 9th grade football coach to the assistant football coach in the high school, Grant Shively for the 9th grade football coach, Eric Pierce for an assistant football coach of the high school, Ryan Bergman as the 7th grade boys basketball coach, Tommy Newton for strength and conditioning after school for the fall, and Aaron Toll for strength and conditioning after school for the winter. And again, Tommy Newton for strength and conditioning after school for the first summer session, and Aaron Toll for strength and conditioning for the after school for the second summer session. And then we have Tommy Newton again for strength and conditioning for the spring. John Robertson for the Inferno Digital Display Coordinator, and Kendrick Vester for Summer Aquatics for the high school. That is our personnel report. Next on our agenda is the superintendent's report. So pick a mic that's working and go for it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I do want to apologize to the board. Kind of got the cart a bit ahead of the horse on just our conversation with the playground. And what we realized is you really have not had a formal presentation on what the final playground renderings were, kind of where we were. And so going to try to rectify that tonight. So feel free to ask questions. Feel free to give us any input. I do appreciate Eric and Jen coming in to meet with me, and we talked about several things. And so hopefully this will be something that will be beneficial as we're moving forward. One thing that I wanted to share is a little bit of the timeline. As you can tell, we have spent quite a bit of time working through the playground and working through, what we want to have as part of this playground. So we've worked with a committee of administration, also our classroom teachers, school board member, and also TESO, just to try to make sure that we get the right kind of equipment and the right kind of environment for our students. So I'm not going to read through the whole timeline, but this kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of how we've been working through this process. Really, the important part of this comes up where, we're looking at the 3 vendors in November of 24, deciding how we want to proceed and which vendor we want to proceed with. So we did end up selecting Recreation Insights. I think that's, am I right? Yeah. And so that is, I think I just said that wrong. I mean, Commercial Recreation Group. I am so sorry. So Commercial Recreation Group. And that came about just by having each one of them kind of give a different plan for what that area is going to look like. Cost as a factor, and then just kind of looking at the whole process as far as, is this a vendor that we feel confident about? Is this a vendor that we believe that, can do the job and complete it, and that we have a lot of confidence in? So the idea was, as of December of 2024, to really get some final recommendations down, to write some grants if we could do that, and to really determine exactly what we need as far as a playground. So in March of 25, the playground committee, we did a walkthrough and a discussion. This also included some of our friends from the Tipton County Foundation and also the Campbell family. Foundation and just kind of walked through that playground and the current playground and talked about what we really wanted to see. After we had that meeting in April, we sent some final renderings, which I'm going to show you today. And basically on April the 8th, we just kind of sent after some recommendations from the April 1st email, the finalized plan for our playground. So anyway, this has been, once again, one of those committees that's kind of worked outside of the board, and they were making this recommendation. So the members of that committee were Brian Johnson, Sarah Wigington, and Jenna Smith, Allison Rittberger, Nathan Geiger, Andrea Campbell, Abby Hobbs, Cassie McQuinn Stewart. So we felt like we had a nice variety of people taking a look at it, and I feel like the final recommendation will be a playground that we'll all be very proud of. So just to kind of let you know where we are with our current playground, most of the equipment in our playground is original to the 1999 elementary building project. So it's reaching end of life. We've had some new equipment that has kind of been scattered throughout, but for the most part, that playground is fairly original to the elementary building project. One of the things that is an issue that we want to address with our new playground is there's very little to no ADA compatibility. Basically, that's because the compatibility was based on 1999. A lot of things have changed since 1999. And so we want to make sure that this is fully accessible and fully accessible to every kid. The other thing is there's no multi-sensory equipment. We've found as we learn more about how kids are thinking and how they can to learn to cope and do some different things as far as their social and emotional learning. We know that multi-sensory equipment is really important to help with that. Again, kids like to spin. They like to be able to be around things that spin. Again, this is something that we know is beneficial to our kids. The other side of it is we had a segmented playground. So we had a preschool playground and then we had the everybody else playground. And so we wanted to make sure that we had an integrated playground. So basically pre-K all the way through elementary would have the full access to the playground and to be able to access all of that equipment. The other issue that has come up in a lot of conversation over the last few years since I've been superintendent here is, of course, the rubber mulch, which many of our teachers don't particularly love. I think Mrs. Rittberger will agree to that. And the other part of it is our parents are also kind of in that same boat. The other thing is there is some poor drainage out there, which part of this new playground will alleviate some of that drainage issue that we have out there. They're going to improve the drainage. We already have where they're going to tie in, and we know exactly where how that's going to be remediated. So essentially, this is the footprint of the playground. So we have a swing set here. I'm probably saying that wrong. There's probably a highfalutin name for that these days. For me, it'll always be a swing set. And there's another swing unit over here. And essentially it's because our kids like to swing. I always like to swing. That was my favorite thing to do in elementary school. That and go down the gigantic slide in 90-degree weather and burn my legs. But anyway, and this is a piece of equipment that is a climbing unit, which will allow for our teachers to be able to supervise a little bit better. Our current climbing unit is a nice place for our kids to hide during recess, and occasionally there's a bit of mischief going on behind that wall. This is a big climbing apparatus here, and then we have two larger play units here in the middle and on the side. and as well as a spinning unit here. We will lay new concrete and actually do some upgrades to our current Gaga pit. Gaga pit, for those of you that don't know, is like the greatest thing in the world for elementary kids. It's an enclosed area. They use a ball. They like to kick around and do all kinds of little fun things. We also, this new Gaga pit with the improvements will be safer than the current one we have. Not to say that the one we have now is dangerous. I wouldn't say that, but it does have some additional safety equipment in there. And then we do have a fabric awning. As you know, that area, there's not a whole lot of trees. So we do want to find a place where we can have a little bit of a shaded area. And this is fully grass, because one of the things that we wanted to do here was to have an area where kids can play football, where they can do the things they love to do, tag, whatever. But again, having that green space over here where they can have some organized play was a real important part for our committee. This is one of the pieces of equipment that we have. If anyone has any questions, I'll be glad to answer anything about that. This is the climbing apparatus I was talking about. This is like the ultimate climbing apparatus. These are all kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of bungees. So kids are able to climb really about anywhere on this particular unit. And if you look at a new playground, in most situations, somebody has something very similar to this. Again, allowing for kids to climb, because kids love to climb. This is the spinning unit I've talked about for some of our students for ADA compliance. If we have somebody that is in a wheelchair, they are able to go in here and be a part of the play here. They can also have a friend or two sitting on the bench right here. So that is, again, part of that ADA accessibility. This is also another part of the ADA accessibility. Again, this is an opportunity for kids to do some spinning. Also, it's a double swing, so you can have more than one kid swinging in that. Also, these double swings as well. This is just a straight ahead swing. This is another unit. Again, with the artificial turf, this makes everything on the same level. So all of this would be accessible if we have a student that is wheelchair bound or any kind of physical disability. This is one of those spinning stations, and this is, there's obviously two sides to that. Again, this is something that cranks. You can see the wheels moving throughout. This obviously will play music when it's tapped, some different things like that. And in general, this is the turf. So let me talk to you a little bit about the turf. We talked a lot about what kind of a surface that we wanted. The pour in place is a little bit cheaper than the turf. The difference is we already have the equipment to maintain the turf because of the football team, the football field. So we would have to maintain the pour in place with some different types of chemicals and some coatings and some different things in order for it to stay viable. So that's one of the reasons why we strongly considered the turf side. The other is really the durability side. Most of the playgrounds that are being constructed at this point have gone to turf, and we feel like that's a great surface for our kids to be on. Definitely has a little bit of a cushion to it, and hopefully can alleviate some broken arms and the occasional thing that happens when we have kids that fall on the playground. So our final quote, and this was the quote that we had as of April 21st, 2025. So the grand total for this was $688,000. It went as high as 715,000. We made some reductions at that point, and were able to substitute out a couple of pieces of equipment and able to bring that cost down just a little bit to that 688 number. So in order for us to maintain our pricing, in order for us to ensure that we had the equipment and we were in line to do our first of the summer install for the summer of 2026, we did want to get the equipment ordered, and the company that we've gone with has stored that equipment for us for free for the period of time that they've had it in. So we did make that deposit of 172,000, and the dollars that we used for that was 122,000 from the corporation from the building project funds, 25,000 from the Campbell Family Foundation, and then 25,000 from Tesso. So the remaining balance is 516,56. We were awarded a grant through the Tipping County Foundation of $200,000. I believe the largest grant they've ever given. And then we also had a conversation, and Tesso was willing to match an additional 25,000 with the Campbell family for that total of 50,000. So we have another $250,000 worth of grants that we will put on top of this. And as we mentioned in our last meeting in November, the balance after the grants is around $266,000. Any questions about the playground?
Go
ahead.
When we saw the first presentation, it was like April of 24 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if they said it or someone on the board. There was some talk about making the playground too big because of staff watching kids. And I know we eliminated the wall, and we talked about they wanted a wall for this, and we didn't do that. That makes total sense to me. But
Yeah.
if they have access to all of that, are we staffed to, from that picture, it's
This-
hard for me to tell how
Oh, I get it.
big that is.
This playground is actually smaller than our current playground. So it's about half the size. So it's kind of hard to tell because what we're doing is we're pushing the playground more to the south. So that's visible from the road. And again, it's kind of that curb appeal idea. So it is actually half the size of our current full playground.
And then is there any idea, I know this may not be, Andrew, maybe you know, from the original presentation, which I know was like preliminary, we hadn't taken bids or whatever, to this playground, this must be bigger than that was?
There's more pieces. So we've added more pieces, and then we also added the preschool. Before, the preschool was not in the scope. Through our work with the committee, they really felt like that we wanted to have a playground that was more integrated and not have it kind of separated out. So that's one of the reasons why we had a bit of an increase in the cost, was because we went ahead and integrated some of that preschool equipment that was currently there into this new plan.
Obviously, I'm just trying to wrap my head around how we went from 300,000 to
Yep.
600 and
Right.
whatever. I mean,
That first presentation, was that like 400,000 for two pieces?
that was
Pretty
in
much.
three phases was gonna be
Yeah.
400 and some thousand. If we did it all in one, it was
I was just trying to remember how
308.
many pieces of equipment it was, remember?
I don't remember. how
I just
many
thought it was like
pieces of
two,
equipment
big,
that
you
was.
know, or something.
Well, originally we were going to keep one of the structures.
Yes.
And we decided we didn't want to do that. So we replaced that with something.
We replaced one of the green and tan structure out there is replaced with a swing set, because we felt like, again, it's not a piece of equipment that is utilized very much by our kids. And I mean, you guys can talk about that if you like, but the swings are high demand. I mean,
look, like I said, I'm
Oh,
just trying
no,
to
no.
figure out
oh, no,
how the
no.
price settled. And my last question, and I remember from the original presentation, and I'm sorry, I'm basing everything off on what,
Nope, and that's,
The notes I had-
that's perfectly,
there was a lot of question about the surface
yes.
and the warranty, like if someone lights fireworks on it, someone asked about, I don't know, but what's the warranty on this surface? you know, and if it,
I am not, I'm not completely sure on the warranty, but I want to say it's 20 years. But I'd feel better to
but not
verify
if we,
that
not if we being,
if we light fireworks and something.
right, not that you and I would do that, but I mean,
Right?
someone after hours.
Exactly.
So I'm just curious about that because that, and then what the life expectancy of that surface is.
I'm pretty sure it's 20 years, but I need to confirm that, because I don't. But I will confirm that.
It was similar to the football field.
Yes, yeah, and that's pretty much the life of the rug on the football field. When we put in the football field, we made sure that we put a lot of money into the support system under, so that when the grass would wear out, which it will in 20 years, all we have to do is replace grass. We don't have to go through and replace everything, which will be a huge cost savings.
Similar to this.
Yes.
Well, and something happened where the original quote, it had all the pictures of the equipment that we were getting, and we didn't realize that one of the line items wasn't there, but it showed the picture. So we thought that's what we were getting. But then the company realized their mistake, and so I think they did work with us. But that's
We
why the
got
price
that.
also went up, because in our minds, it was always there, and it wasn't in theirs, but they had it in the presentation as a picture.
It was in the
wasn't a
picture, but
line
not on the
item.
quote. Yeah.
And
And
they
it was
gave
not,
that,
it was a bigger one.
yeah, they
but
gave it to us for half price.
They did work.
But we didn't go with that.
That is,
No,
yeah.
that's.
Oh, the
That's
company
it,
we
yeah.
went with.
That's why the price went up. Is that
That's
what
why
you're
the price
saying?
went up, but
Good.
they did discount it, but it
Yes.
did go up.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons that went up.
Yeah, I have two questions.
Sure.
So if I'm reading this correctly, the largest expense is the turf.
It is.
My next question is, can we sell or donate the existing equipment?
I mean, we can definitely try. One thing that, when you're pulling that equipment out, it doesn't always withstand that real well, because it's all sitting in concrete. So my fear would be that I'm not sure what that equipment will look like in the end. But we could, if we are able to salvage anything and we're able to do anything, absolutely. And the other part would be, we do have to get rid of the rubber mulch, and so we would try to see if the city or somebody else would have use for that rubber mulch, and share the wealth on that. Because we do need to get rid of it, and because they're gonna put stone and sand and everything else like we have for the football field as the base, for that turf.
Well, you have on here that Tipton is responsible for removing the rubber mulch and the current equipment.
Yes.
And you've got asterisks, but do you have an estimate on what that will cost?
We've had some conversations with the city, and we think that the cost will be very low, right? And maybe even nothing. If we can, and we also have a lot of farmers with big equipment that could also help us out.
Pretty good home if you come pick it up.
Yeah. The other side, I'm fine with demo. I just didn't, and there are some schools that still construct their equipment. They have PTO come in and do the construction of the equipment. In this day and age, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So I'd rather have somebody that's certified to put all that together, putting that together. But as far as the demo side, I know that Brian has reached out to some folks. I know we've talked to the city. I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
Okay. Thank you.
Ryan, you had sent us a memo about how much money was left from the roof project, how much the playground was, and then the pool and the sound system.
Yes,
And you wanted to keep 200,000,
yes.
but that, at those budgeted numbers, it's a little less than 200,000.
It's probably, when, the budget is probably gonna be lower. The sound system is actually coming in quite a bit lower
Good.
than what I put in there, because I didn't really know what it was gonna be.
Yeah.
So I kind of just guessed
I just want to
about.
make sure I'm following.
No, you're right.
That often happens. I mean,
No,
we have to
exactly.
plan for the worst and. hope for the
Exactly,
best.
exactly.
But then, so that 200,000 that's left, like how, there were a couple other projects that will suck up all that money. So are we gonna wait on those? Just
Yes.
because, okay, I was just trying to follow your memo that
Yeah.
said we want to save this 200,000 unless
Yes.
something else happens.
Yes.
So will we wait till the end of that last, we
Wait
have to
until we're-
spend,
We're completely done with the roofing. Then we'll decide what we need to do with our remaining funds. Right now, the roof for the auditorium is going really well. I mean, they put half of the roof on the auditorium this morning, the tall part. So that's going really well, and hopefully, if we don't get the snow in the next couple of days, we can keep that moving forward. And that was one of the areas I was concerned about, that we might find some surprises, because that's probably the more complicated roof system that we have, and so far, so good. So I feel like we're gonna be in a great shape once we get it all done.
so just the painting the gym and the gym surface or whatever, those last
Yeah.
2 things.
Yeah.
Will we wait as long as possible? Like, cause we have 3 years to spend the money,
Yeah,
whatever
I
it
mean,
is.
we can, yeah, and we can also take a look, if we're, we wouldn't do anything with the floors until June. Anyway, if we were gonna do that, just because our
Summer.
floors are used every day
Yeah,
by somebody. And so we wouldn't be able to do that. So, I mean, we can have a lot of conversation over how we want to do that. And if we need to hold up, we can hold up.
okay. Cause I'm reading it, we're holding it in case there's some other emergency.
Exactly.
And I'd rather hold that.
Yep.
Unless the floors are an emergency, you know,
Right.
I mean, that's my whole fear about
No,
this.
oh, no, I agree. I think
Everybody's
I think
clear on that,
Yeah.
we're tight on operations money and it's getting tighter. And
I
I
agree.
would love to have a cushion
Yes,
for the unforeseen HVAC,
yes.
whatever, you name it.
I agree with you. The floors are not critical. I mean, they're still okay. Now, and the good thing about the floors we have right now is they just need to be sanded and resurfaced. So not like we had to do with the Inferno, where we had to dig, you had to
Yeah,
take it
take
all
it all
up
out,
and put it all back down. So the whole process with the Ox gym and the middle school gym is completely different than what we've had with the Inferno.
Okay, I appreciate it. I just,
Yeah, no. that's
reading
great-
your memo,
great
I
questions.
was, make sure we're on the same page.
Absolutely. Great questions. Thank you. Again, to talk about the re-roof project, the academic roof is complete. That has gone incredibly well. And they're beginning to work on the tall part of the auditorium. Like I mentioned, that is going along splendidly well. And so we're going to keep hoping that that happens. And that crane is big and scary. There would be no way on this planet I would be up on top of that auditorium ever. So, anyway, pretty amazing. So just kind of talk a little bit about upcoming agenda items. We have board reorganization in January, conflict of interest forums, which we do every year. And I know you're all going to be excited about this. We are near the end of our CCHA board policy transition. When we approve batch 10 in January, we'll basically just have some cleanup. So essentially Julia and Scott and I are going to go through what's left of the Neola policies and make sure we haven't left anything out of the new church-churchill and Antrim policies. So that's part of that cleanup. So there may be a few policies that we continue to work on in February and March, but for the most part, that's done. And then we're looking at a recommendation from our expense reduction and review committee in February, and we have that meeting coming up here on Monday. And that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Next item on our agenda is the Spotlight on Schools. This will be a presentation by Brooke and Scott on Medicaid reimbursement program.
You would like for me to get rid of this, wouldn't you?
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
While this is getting set up, for anybody who's joining us virtually here through the website, or if you're watching this within the next month of this board meeting, we actually have these slides available on the website right underneath the live stream. So if you're watching us remotely here, you can follow along with us on that. So with that being said, this will be a relatively brief presentation, although I not gonna lie, it's not the most thrilling presentation, so apologies in advance for that. But this is essentially a review or overview of our participation in the Medicaid reimbursement process, including partnerships with Indiana MAC, ClaimAid, and Fairbanks LLC. Again, with SBA kind of looming over us here, we're looking for every opportunity to kind of save some money here and there. And this is one opportunity that some local school districts in our area are taking advantage of, and now we are looking to pursue that as well. So this is kind of just a walkthrough of what we're talking about. So through Medicaid reimbursement, we can receive federal dollars for certain health-related services that we're already providing. It includes therapy services, behavior support, nursing, and transportation connected to those services. Nothing changes for the students in terms of what they receive, simply a way for the district to recover some eligible funding for us. ClaimAid has worked with Indiana schools since 2004 and partners closely with the IDOE and Indiana Medicaid. They bring expertise in compliance, documentation, billing, audit readiness. Their role is to make sure that we receive all of the available funds and stay fully compliant with any changing Medicaid requirements. So as far as what services are reimbursable, these are those services that are eligible for Medicaid reimbursement, most of which are connected to students' IEP or their formal plan. ClaimAid assists us in billing Medicaid when a student qualifies, parental consent is obtained, and then services are provided by properly credentialed staff. So again, those are the different things that would be permissible to be reimbursed. The impact on students and families is minimal. Nothing changes about the services, like I said, that students receive, and families incur absolutely no cost. On occasion, ClaimAid may contact a family if their child appears to be Medicaid eligible, which can help families access additional health coverage. Again, families do not complete any new paperwork unless they choose to apply for Medicaid. As for impact on school personnel, again, we don't want to put some undue burden on our staff that's above and beyond what we're going to be reimbursed for. I, for one, will be responsible for supervising the random moment time study. The RMTS are conducted through Fairbanks LLC. Basically, selected staff receive a short survey during each quarter, taking less than 5 minutes for each of those. I mean, it estimated 1 or 2 minutes. There's 4 questions. So, again, only a subset of the staff are actually sampled. I think only 2,400 staff across the state are randomly chosen over the course of a quarter. So, again, split that up among all the different school districts and advantage of this. It's not too often, although we talked with the Taylor superintendent. He had it 3 times in 1 quarter. He was like a
I'm looking forward to
busy quarter.
Excited.
Again, beyond this, service providers document their therapy or health-related services just as they always have. So the added workload is, again, minimal on our staff. ClaimAid's responsibility, they handle the technical side of Medicaid billing. Brooke's going to handle the submission of claims in the Medicaid, in the ClaimAid portal. ClaimAid will then submit claims electronically, follow up on denied or pending claims, generate our monthly financial and service reports, and support us during any state or federal audits that might occur. They also maintain documentation for 7 years, and that assists us with compliance and communication with the DOE and Medicaid. The district's responsibilities, again, include supplying accurate service documentation, forwarding all the Medicaid-related correspondence, allowing ClaimAid access to view account history and Medicaid portals for follow-up, and providing payment listings. Again, these items ensure timely billing and accurate reimbursement for us. As far as financial modeling fees, Medicaid reimbursement includes a state and federal portion. Both portions are deposited to the district, but the state portion is later then withheld from a monthly tuition payment. So again, we get reimbursement from both the state and the federal government. However, the state kind of pulls that back through our tuition support. So all the new money is coming from the federal side of things. That's what we're not currently claiming. And that money is free to use however we need to. It's no strings attached. But we've already kind of discussed, since this is kind of coming from our special ed side, this will help offset some costs with KSIC, which again, those costs have increased and funding for that has decreased. So this is a nice way to kind of counteract some of that. Again, this partnership helps the district access all available federal revenue tied to special education and related services. The documentation process is streamlined, which minimizes the impact on staff and any compliance or audit concerns are handled proactively. Again, the funds directly support our ability to serve students and manage rising service costs responsibility. And Brooke asked me to do this, and I think it's a very wise thing to do. Here's just a quick example of what that would look like, right? So after we complete these random moments, time surveys, at the end of each quarter, we'll get reimbursed a certain amount. How that works, for example, speech service, I think, is one of the higher return, and we have quite a bit of number of students who receive speech services. About 35% comes from the state, 65-ish% comes back from federal. So for speech service reimbursement, that's $72 a day. Now, again, like I said, that $25 from the state, that is money we're already going to get through tuition. So that's not new money to us. We're already getting that. The $46.63, that's the new money, and that's $46.63 per day for each student who receives a speech service. So again, if we can, what our speech teacher she'll continue documenting everything she's already documenting. We'll have these random moment time surveys. And based off of that, going through Medicaid, getting consent from families, we can reimburse ourselves, get reimbursed $46.63 per student per day, and that adds up. I will say, we're not entirely sure the exact amount that we're going to get right now. I mean, there's a lot of variables that go into that. I will say this, Taylor's been doing this for, I think this is their second or third year now, and they're getting about $10,000 a quarter. We're a little bit bigger than them, so we're hopeful that we can get a little bit more than that. But again, every dollar kind of helps here, and that's pretty good hefty chunk of reimbursement there. I do have a table with all the other different reimbursement rates, so if you're interested in that, I can share that with you. But just kind of summarize today, process brings meaningful financial benefit to the district with minimal burden on our families and staff. The revenue supports core student services, particularly in special education, helps the district stay compliant with maximizing available federal funds. That is my presentation for today. Do you have any specific questions you'd like to ask Brooke or I about Medicaid reimbursement? Again, it's one of those things that it's kind of full of stress not to pursue. There's been a few personnel reasons why it's been difficult for us to get this up and running. We've got everything set, we're ready to run, and just kind of need you guys' approval to move forward with that.
I think my only thing would be cautionary to not count on this money,
Right.
because the federal will find out that they're paying schools to help kids, and they'll take this money back.
And
So,
we had that conversation
yeah,
too, right?
so
Like,
just
this is-
don't put this money anywhere
we
where it's
wanna-
like
we wanna take
important.
it when
So,
we can, but yeah, understand that this is not, guaranteed to be
Right.
long term.
Yeah, I wish you hadn't said no strings attached
Yeah,
out loud.
you had me up to no strings attached, Scott, and then I was like, no, this helps kids, the feds will take it back. So, all right, well, thank you, guys, and I do appreciate all the hard work on that, and Brooke, the extra work on you and your team to facilitate that. So, next on our agenda is our department reports, from Scott and from Adam and Stephen and Colin. Some great things happening, I think, in the girls wrestling program that you can read about in there. That's pretty cool to see that happening. And the next item on the agenda is our financial report. And if I seem like I'm hurrying, we have a board member that needs to leave at 7:30. So I was trying to get us through that. So
Okay.
thanks, Brooke.
Yes, we received our property tax advance from the county, a little over 2.1 million, split between debt service and operations, about $1 million each. We'll get our final settlement probably next week with our lit payments. Interest for the month was $27,235. Our summer school reimbursement was $29,549. And then I detailed the November 30th fund balances for you. If you have any questions on those.
And we're pretty sure our lit's going to be close to
It's running about 15,000,
Okay.
something a month.
nothing up or down too much. Okay, thank you. All right, any questions or comments for Brooke? No? Okay. On to old business. We have a second reading of batch 9 of the CCHA board policies. These policies listed in your packet are up for a second reading and adoption. It's recommended to adopt these new policies as written and retire the corresponding Neola policies. I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve upon second reading batch 9.
I move to approve batch 9 upon second reading.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve batch 9 on second reading. Any questions or comments from the board? All those in favor of approving batch 9 on second reading, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Batch 9 is approved. Next on the agenda is the recommendation for the remaining GO bond funds. This was tabled from our previous meeting in November, but the 2025 re-roofing project is going well, continues to run ahead of schedule. At this time, we have approximately $400,000 available from the bond proceeds to recommend some additional projects. We're recommending 3 projects that include the playground at $266,000, a new pool deck in the high school at $86,000, and the auditorium sound system replacement at $80,000. These projects are much needed and will hope to serve us well for many years to come. The detailed information is included in your packet, and I think on the pool project and the sound project, this was the worst case scenario, Eric, and that was kind of what we were talking about. Those quotes are coming in, a little bit better than that. So I'd be looking for a recommendation to approve the remaining GO bond funds. And a second.
I move to approve the remaining go bond funds as discussed earlier. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the remaining GO bond funds. Any questions or further board comment? All right, all those in favor of approving the remaining GO bond funds for the projects listed in your packet, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, we have one. The motion carries. On new business, just there's no action on this, but we have received our 1782 notice. We received our initial 1782 notice from the DLGF in late November. We provided a response to the DLGF asking for an increase in appropriation for the education fund of $100,000 and in the operation fund of $50,000. These combined funds come from our end-of-year operating balances. And again, this is just an FYI for the board. There's no action needed here tonight. As with our next agenda item, it is the All Glorious Batch 10, which, pending the results of the short legislative session, we'll probably have some things in January and February to add, but this should be our last batch. The following policies are up for first reading. No action is needed tonight. But we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance and moments of silence, advertising, sponsorship, and naming rights, policy around prohibition of unmanned aircraft, the intellectual property ownership and revenue, corporations, sport organizations, public records, questioning of students, and relations with special interest groups are in the packet 10. Next item on our agenda is a new THS curricular offering for the fall of 2026. THS is recommending the addition of a Bible literature course for our 11th and 12th grade students. The elective course fulfills an 11th or 12th grade English graduation requirement. Mr. Robertson, who is with us this evening, is available to answer questions regarding the proposed course, and complete description is written below. So I would be looking for a motion and a second to approve the new biblical literature THS curricular offering for the fall of 2026.
I move to approve the new, high school offering of the Bible literature course for 11th and 12th grade students. Or whoever.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any additional questions or comments from the board?
I was just curious how it came about. Did you have interest from students?
It kind of came about when I was looking through, because we knew what the new graduation requirements were gonna have.
Nah.
You didn't want that.
Yeah, sorry.
We were looking at the offerings for English and the new English requirements, and we knew that video game literature, which is a great class that the kids love, but it's not gonna meet an actual under the new requirements, so we're going to replace it anyway. So I was just going through the list of possible classes, and there were students around when I was doing it, and there was interest about students about Bible Lit. And at first I was like, I don't know that I want to take that on just because of the possible questions that could come about from various people. But then I thought about it, and I said, you know what, I think that I will. And I started studying about a year and a half ago, just to make sure that I'm prepared for all the questions that we may get, you know. So, yeah, I as I started studying, I found it fascinating. I'm like, this really is a cool course, because it's more about the literature. It's more about the history of the Bible, and like pair it up with world literature or with world history. It's like, it's more than just, it's definitely not we're going to teach you the Bible as a devotional. It's just what books say, and let's see it as a book and how it affects culture and society. And like, I found it fascinating, and talking with some other people, the kids are actually seeming quite interested in it. They've watched me study my Bible literature book while they're doing their study time. So during advisory, I'm reading mine. And they ask a lot of questions. I was like, well, just take the class next year and you'll get to find out. That's how it came about.
Will it be the Old Testament and New Testament?
As of right now, based on the scope and sequence, I've got it scheduled one semester Old Testament, one semester New Testament, trying to break it up into, so they're getting both. And since the Bible really does Old and New mesh with each other so much, like, it's fun to kind of say, like, where the Old Testament relates to the New Testament. Kind of cover those.
And we're doing the NIV version.
Yes, I spent a lot of time, and we've talked about this a little bit about a month ago. I spent a lot of time deciding which version of the Bible, because I know that could be a question from various groups. And I looked at, exact translations to more interpretive translations. I've done the whole spectrum, and I kind of went right in the middle. So we're going to cover, NIV is going to, their New International Version, which is a fairly modern translation. But we're going to explain and explore, look at the NIV compared to King James and a more, I can't remember the name of some of the ESV or whatever. So they're gonna look at, how does a change in wording change the meaning, and how could people interpret this different? Very introductory course, just if you want to read the Bible and understand what it actually says instead of like how people interpreted it. It's asking students to explore it on their own or with guidance, but it's a very introductory course. Like I told one of the kids that we were talking about with, I made a joke. I was like, people have been fighting about the Bible for 2,000 years. We're not going to solve it in 18 weeks at Tiffin High School, but we're gonna give you the tools to at least understand what it says and how it's affected culture and how it fits historically, and go from there. So, if you guys have questions, I'm happy to talk about it. I mean, I really have put a lot of time into preparing, so I wanted to be ready for it.
Any other questions?
I think my only concern would be not so much about the course, but if somebody wanted to, like, the Book of Mormon literature, like, is that something we're prepared to offer as well, or another religious? That would be my only concern with, I mean, it's not based off of what I believe or what you believe, but if somebody else also wanted to be represented in this, how do
So I can
we?
address that somewhat.
Sure.
As in the introductory part of the class, we will discuss Christianity as a whole and where it started and how it's split. So we will talk about how there are various, but we're not going to go into depth on the religious and theological aspects of it. We're just reading the book itself. So if someone wanted that, I mean, I can't offer it. I know I have read most of the Book of Mormon just out of pure curiosity, so I know about it. But like, the state of proves the Bible, it's like, again, more historical and how it's affected society. It's definitely not devotional. So if somebody said we want a Book of Mormon study, I'd be like, well, no one I know is authorized to teach it, and it's not a state approved course.
Sure.
That would be my response to those.
That's a good question.
Great. Well, no further questions. We have a motion and a second to approve the new curricular offering. All those in favor of doing so, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Motion carries, and I probably should have said this during the Tell Me Something Good, but if you have not had a chance to go to the Inferno before a game and see what Mr. Robertson and his group have done with the video board investment that we made, whether it's the girls' team, the boys' team, the volleyball, it's fantastic. So keep up the great work, and the sportsmanship that you demonstrate to the other team by doing their graphics and their kids is top notch and represents us very well. So thank you for that. So sorry for that. I took a little detour. Sorry.
Is your drone fixed?
What?
Did your drone get fixed?
It's in the process of getting fixed.
Okay. It's probably a question you don't ask with the wife here. Just gonna say. It may be an off the book purchase. Okay. So, our next is the approval of a transfer from the Friends of the Inferno Fund to the Rainy Day Fund. In your packet is a resolution to transfer $32,000 from the Friends of the Inferno Fund back to the Rainy Day Fund. The dollars generated in the Friends of the Inferno Fund come to us from sponsorships and donations used to reduce the $249,246.85 of rainy day funds used for the upgrades. Since most of these sponsorships are spread out over 4 to 5 years, we'll continue to reimburse the rainy day fund annually in December, and we'll continue to offer sponsorships and naming rights opportunities to completely reimburse the rainy day fund. So I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the transfer of these funds back to the rainy day fund.
I move to approve the transfer from the Friends of the Inferno Fund to the Rainy Day Fund.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the transfer. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor of approving the transfer from the Friends of the Inferno Fund back to the rainy day, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then earlier this evening, Brooke and Scott presented on how we're going to recuperate funds for student services eligible for Medicaid reimbursement. In order to ensure the reimbursements meet the legal requirements, we need board approval to permit the superintendent to enter into the contract with both Claim Aid for 8% of the reimbursement and Indiana MAC for 9% of the reimbursement. As you heard previously, billing and reimbursement for the Medicaid eligible services can generate revenue, and schools throughout the state are utilizing these funds along with the other vendors selected. These additional dollars will be utilized to offset the KSEC funding not covered by the federal SPED grant that we encountered a couple months earlier. So I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the contracts with Claim Aid and Indiana MAC for Medicaid billing.
I move to approve the contracts with Claim Aid and Indiana MAC for Medicaid billing and reimbursement.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the contracts. Any questions or open comment? All right, all those in favor of approving the contracts with Claim Aid and Indiana MAC, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Finally, other matters to come before the board. I think as Dr. Glaze mentioned earlier, we do have the Expense Reduction and Review Committee meeting coming up on December 14th or 15th at 4 p.m. Again, want to thank that committee for just an amazing, enormous amount of work. So thank you for that. The remaining schedule of events are December 10th, we have the middle school and high school band concerts. December 16th, the YO Family Night Concert. December 19th is our last day of second grading period and semester. December 20th through January 5th is winter break. And January 13th, we'll have our monthly board meeting again in these chambers. So with no further questions or comments, I take a motion and a second to adjourn.
Move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.